Welcome to Out of the Office. I'm your host, Em Portner, and this month we are truly out of the office here at Green Hill Park. Things are a little different this month on Out of the Office. If you're watching on YouTube, you can play a little Spot the Difference game for the background. And it's definitely a good one to watch on YouTube because we are at Green Hill Park at Food Truck Thursday.
Officially out of the office. We're literally out of the office. Because we're typically out of the office because we go to the studio to record, but now we're out in one of our parks.
Yeah, and at a great event. And Alex, this was actually your idea to do one out of the office. I hope you're not having any regrets now that we're actually sitting here.
We're only about a minute in, so we'll see at the end.
Yeah, we'll see if someone comes up and just like start staring at you really close on camera.
We'll
some
see.
Stranger.
We'll see. But no, it's great to be out here. It's great weather at our first Food Truck Thursday of 2025 here at Green Hill.
Yeah, and we're at Green Hill Park, so you could get a little lunch, enjoy the park, maybe fly a kite out here.
Yeah, it was great last weekend. We'll probably touch on that later. But not only can you enjoy some great food from some local food vendors and food trucks, but we have our Roanoke River Greenway here in the park. We got a lot of great walkways and great places for you to not only take in the park, but take in nature as well while you're here at Green Hill Park.
Yeah, and this is a very unique event in that it's the middle of the day, middle of the week. So how did the idea for doing a Food Truck Thursday on a weekday for lunch come about?
Yeah, so this event started in 2023. It came about for a few different reasons. We had community members who work out this way in the western part of Salem and western Roanoke County who, there aren't as many restaurants once you get past Main Street in Salem. So it's one way for those folks, especially out here, to come and grab some lunch from local food vendors. But then it was also a suggestion from some of our admin staff and board who, wanted to see more events out in our parks, and this is exactly what we're doing. So, and typically when you think of special events, you think of something on a weekend or, maybe during the evening, and this is totally different because, as you mentioned earlier, it's the middle of the day, 11 to 2 on a Thursday, and, folks, of all different, ages, backgrounds are here in the park visiting for Food Truck Thursday.
Yeah, and so how long have the Food Truck Thursdays been going on?
Yeah, so this is our third year. So we started off in summer of 2023 at Green Hill Park exclusively, and then it went so well that fall we actually rotated to different parks, and that's what we've done the last 2 years, going in 2024 and 2025 during spring and fall because it's not as the weather's not as warm and hot, so it's a little bit cooler, a little bit nicer to enjoy your lunch outside. Even though we do have some great picnic tables and some different scenery for folks, whether you're here at Green Hill Park or any of our other parks for this event.
Yeah, definitely. Like July and August might not be as fun to get out in the middle of the day for lunch.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the first year we did it in the summer. We learned, and we got some great feedback from some of the local business partners who are in the area, who are thankful that we have this, and a lot of the community members who can come to their local community park, wherever that may be during the year, for this event and enjoy some great food, get out, enjoy some nature, enjoy our parks, and have a great day.
Yeah, and then out here today we have Suda's Kitchen, Rocky Mount Smokehouse, Countryman Jamaican Grill, and Get Glazed. So do you have a master list of food trucks? How do you decide who gets out here?
So Kelly, who we've had in the podcast before, Kelly Brammer and her staff are the ones who they get applications and they put out requests for food trucks each event series, and we kind of go from there. And her team do a great job of trying to diversify the different menu options for food trucks, but also rotate them in for spring, maybe versus fall. But also it depends on the food truck vendors' availability. But then we also use some of these folks for our special events throughout the year. So we like to keep it, different and have a variety of folks and a variety of menu options each event.
Yeah, I know Countryman's one of our I feel like our staples. I see it out a lot, and I know a lot of people like it because it's one of those diverse food options. And I did want to give a quick shout out right now to Chris's Coffee and Custard because you had told me last week that they were supposed to be here, and unfortunately their van was lost in the Riverdale fire. But their location is still open down there, so you can still visit them. I know they have a couple capital fund campaigns going right now, so check out their website if you want to support them, but they are in our thoughts and our minds right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing about some food truck vendors, they have issues or things come up. while we're planning. And, it's great because we have such a great local community, not only for restaurants but for food vendors and food trucks, and they all kind of support each other and help each other out, which is really cool to see. So when something does happen, Kelly and her team are really quick to be able to fill that spot and say we have Get Glazed, so we're trading coffee and custard for some donuts.
Yeah, donuts are good. So of all of these tempting choices, which one do you think you're going to go for lunch? Have you scouted it out yet?
Yeah, I was talking to Scott earlier, and the jerk chicken nachos from Countryman Jamaican Grill are one of my favorites. It's great because it's portable. You can have it as a to-go option. You can sit down. The last time I had it, I actually, on the way back to the office, dropped by my wife's office at her, she's a dental hygienist, and they were on lunch, and I was like, some jerk chicken nachos? She's like, absolutely. So it's great because you have some grab and go options, but that's one of my favorites. But I don't know what I'm going to get today. I like every time I come, because I come to all of them because it's really fun and it's a great lunch option. I kind of like to rotate between the vendors. So Rocky Mountain Smokehouse has great barbecue. Their barbecue pork beans are fantastic. One of my coworkers, Jay, absolutely loves them. So if he's not out here today, I'll have to take some back for him possibly. And then Suda's Kitchen, I haven't had them personally, so I'll probably dabble in Sudas here in a little bit once we get geared up for lunch.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Like, I'm a big barbecue person, so when I saw the barbecue on the menu, I was like, ooh, it would be hard to not do something else.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, even though, we're in Southwest Virginia, you got a lot of great barbecue options. You never know how similar or different they're going to be.
Yeah.
And Rocky Mountain has been with us since the first year of Food Truck Thursday. So they're kind of a recurring guest when they're available for that.
That's great. It's good to have your staples, your reliable food trucks.
For sure. And that's the thing is, with the variety of food trucks, as we mentioned, having a little something for everyone, whether they've tried it or not, or, we have some picky eaters. We have some folks who are a little more adventurous and want to get to, enjoy some different cuisines.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of great options here at Food Truck Thursday.
Yeah. Do you have, like, an overall favorite of all of the Food Truck Thursdays?
They're all great. And I know I always say that.
I knew you were going to be evasive in this question.
But that's the thing with these is, each one's different because when you change a location, especially here at Green Hill Park, we're kind of tucked here in the back end of the park, which not everyone may get to. So it's introducing folks to a different area of the park. When we're at Waldron Park, we set up the picnic tables leading up to the picnic shelter, and it's a little bit of a different setup. It's more of a lineup, as you say. So I guess, all the food vendors are great because not only are they out here, but it's great to being able to support local and kind of shopping local and eating local.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on, like, some of the setup. So, like, obviously there's more than just calling some food trucks up and saying, be here at this time. So what else goes into setup for Food Truck Thursdays?
Yeah, so Kelly and her staff, Eric and Charlie, they get here a few hours before the event. They set up the picnic tables with our county branding on them for folks to enjoy the park. We got some music in the background, and then we've also got the setup. So based on the location, they're able to set up signage so that way folks understand how to get into the park and see the food trucks. And it's a whole lot of setup as far as during the day. It doesn't take a whole lot, but once you're out here, it's really time to just enjoy some food and then getting prepared for the next one in 2 weeks.
Yeah, the signs really help, especially at Green Hill Park because we're tucked so far back. I pulled in and I was like, there aren't any food trucks here. But this park really does go very far back. So
yeah, because the first year we had it, we had Food Truck Thursday in 2023 when you come into the park into, I guess, the main parking field. So it was spread out a little more, but we thought for last year and this year it's worked out great because it has folks come all the way back, like I mentioned, into maybe a different part of the park that they're not used to getting into.
Yeah, and we have some trees here, so we're getting some natural shade, which it's not hot yet, but in a couple weeks, if you were to have it here, it would start to get warm again. And we were talking about the spring, weather's always unpredictable, so it's you could have a hot day in April and May. So this is a nice shady park.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So, and that's the one thing about our staff. It's great because you get to meet members of the community, but we also have county staff who come out to these events because it's not every day that you get to go out to eat lunch in a park. And a lot of our folks who are in our parks, some folks do take their lunch break in here. So we thought, why not bring some food vendors and options here to them as well? So it's really been a great event to be a part of.
Yeah, I know this morning I got into work at the same time as a couple other people, and they were asking. It's oh, are you going to the Food Truck Thursday event today? I'm like, people were already planning whether or not they were coming out. So it's like, especially like county staff also like really appreciates having this.
Yeah, and that's kind of leading into the next one in 2 weeks is actually coming up on May 8th at the Roanoke County Admin Building. So it's going to give folks in our staff who are on that side of the county to have a great lunch option. But a lot of those businesses and some of the vendors on that side of town, there's a lot of different food options over there in South County and 419. But, if you want to eat a little bit more local and support some local food trucks, come on out to that one.
Yeah, that one's really nice because I know a lot of staff would, when it was at Starkey Park, like it was just like a drove from the administration building to Starkey Park. And I feel like the park staff realized, they're like, oh, admin's really showing up for this one. Maybe we should make it a little bit easier that they could just go down from their office. But it's like a great way to like get the community to the admin building too, of like, hey, this building's here if you need it.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because not only are we helping our local businesses, but it's really supporting and using some of our local municipality folks and some of our different departments within the county to help us out. Because not only is it just us Parks and Rec staff and tourism staff, but our friends in economic development help us promote this event to all the businesses and some of the manufacturing businesses on this side of the county. But for every single event, no matter where it's at, they send it out to their business partners, and they help spread the word, which is really great when you're planning an event. And it's really helped to spread the word for that.
So how has the community response been to Food Truck Thursdays over the past couple of years?
Yeah, so it's been really great. Of course, weather's a big thing. Of course, that's the case with any event. But, we're listening to our community and the citizens and, some of the folks who live in the different magisterial districts. So that's kind of where the first year it was mostly out here at Green Hill Park. And then one of the first things we heard was, well, why not in our area? So that's where, a simple suggestion and us working with our event staff and our park staff to make sure that everything is cleaned up and everything's, well kept, because our park staff are out here mowing pretty much late March, early April, all the way through October, November. So trying to work around their schedules and their work schedules and their maintenance schedules to make sure that everything is nice and green and, looks nice, but also is able to host some of these events during the lunch hour throughout the spring and fall. So yeah, we're listening to the community on where they want to come to these events, and also some of those local businesses as well.
Yeah. So how have the businesses responded? Like how what have you heard from the food trucks that participate?
Yeah, it's great because the local businesses like New Millennium up the road here, when you come into Green Hill Park, and some of the other manufacturing businesses down the road here, and like a Mack truck as well. When you come out here to Green Hill Park, you see a lot of them in their uniforms or their badges, and they're really thankful because lunch is a big part of their day, as is mine and yours, I'm sure. But it's nice to get them out into a natural setting and enjoy something a little bit different. Yeah,
on busy days, if I miss my normal lunch, I start to get hangry. So it's just lunch is very important.
Lunch is key.
Yeah.
Lunch is key.
We've talked a lot about the food trucks, but we've also, I noticed, have some other non-food truck partners involved.
Yes.
So what's that about?
Yeah, so today we have a blood drive going on today. Some of our events, we have some other partners and organizations that are involved, and I know they've reached out to Kelly, and we got a blood drive today, so those are really popular. We've had those at, I think, Touch a Truck and stuff before, but, not only for that one, but coming up at the one at the Roanoke County Admin Building in May, we've got the library partnering with us, and they're going to have the bookmobile, the Words on Wheels bookmobile there. Yeah,
I'm really excited for them to come out here, and I know I was talking with Kelsey a couple weeks ago about her being at Food Truck Thursday at the Admin Building, and she has a goal to sign up as many people for a library card as possible. So if you're watching this and you work in the administration building, I am expecting you to either have a library card or get a library card at Food Truck Thursday on
May 8th, Thursday, May 8th, from 11 to 2.
Yeah, you better have every event cataloged in your mind, day, time, location.
It's one of those things where we've talked before. It's like sometimes I can rattle it off pretty quickly, but sometimes by the time I'm saying May, I'm like, all right, it's 8th, 9th, because we also have Tavern Stage Summer Music Series on May 9th. So keeping all those dates is pretty important, for my job, but also for all of us in the county to know what's going on and to support each other and, come out to all of our great special events.
Yeah, so May 8th is the next one at the Admin Building, and what's the final Food Truck Thursday for the spring?
So that is on May 22nd at Walren Park, so in northern Roanoke County. And, I can't remember the food trucks off the top of my head, but if you go to RoanokeCountyParks.com/events and go to Food Truck Thursday, you can see all the different events that we have, but also the different vendors on our Food Truck Thursday webpage.
Okay, and you've already kind of teased a couple events, but what else? What other big events are happening in the next month or so with Parks and Rec?
Yeah, so still here at Green Hill Park, we have Parkside Picks, which is coming up on Saturday, May 3rd. That's really a community yard sale and flea market where we have some, vendors who do a bunch of different yard sales and flea markets, or some artisan vendors. But if you just have some spring cleaning items that you'd like to, give on to someone else, or, sell your treasures, as we say, spots are still available. I believe registration closes tomorrow. So by the time you're listening to this, you'll probably just be able to come to the event on Saturday, May 3rd. And we have over 70 vendors. We'll have some food trucks that morning, the coffee bus, and Empanada Nirvana. So, on that theme of food trucks and partners, we try to have those at all of our events. So stop by, do some shopping, and grab some great food in that on that morning. And that event is from 8 to 1 on Saturday, May 3rd.
Great. And you mentioned the tavern series. What's that? When are those starting? How many got you this season?
Yeah, so we have 5. So we run the second Friday of the month from May through September, and we have 5 different bands. The first one coming up is on May 9th, and music kicks off at 6:30 at Twin Creeks Brew Pub at Explore Park. The tavern stage is just to the left of that, featuring GAC. So if you are a 90s child like we are, their logo is kind of like green slime, like Nickelodeon.
Okay.
Since they're a 90s cover band, it's very apropos, and it's really cool. So if you're into the 90s, or if you're into just great live music, you can come on out to the tavern stage and see them for the first one of the year on the 9th.
Great. Yeah, no, I am definitely a 90s kid. So that sounds like a good one. And then, because we're at Green Hill Park, I feel like we have to talk about the Kite Festival that was last weekend.
Yeah, it was great. It's a little bit windy now, and that's kind of how it was this past Saturday. We had 9,000 to 10,000 folks is what we're estimating based on our car counters and just the volume of folks out here, and it was great. Me and my family, we got here around noon, and the place was packed. So we had thousands of kites up in the air, different colors, shapes, sizes, and we had our partners with the Richmond Air Force Kite Club in the demo field demoing their big giant kites and their tandem kites. And then we also had free promo kites courtesy of our partners and sponsors from United Healthcare, and you saw those up in the air all day. I know we flew those for some social media promos, which
flew is a generous word to use for what we did.
You flew yours and you ran. You did a great job. If you don't follow us on our socials, we're at Roco Parks and then official Roanoke County, Virginia on Instagram. So if you want to see me talking about Kite Festival and Em running behind me with a kite, you can see that on our social channels.
Yeah.
But it was a great event. It's one of my favorites, and it's really a staple in Roanoke County because it was the 24th year that we've had that here at Green Hill Park.
Yeah, and it's not just kites. You have a lot of food vendors there. The Wow Bookmobile was there. You had, a couple of different county departments represented, and vendors, and it was really you could spend the whole day out there. Yeah,
it's really cool because the first time I went to Kite Festival was a few years ago, and the amount of people who just show up with a blanket or some tailgate chairs and just literally hang out all day, fly kites, enjoy some time with the family, and do something that you don't normally do or maybe haven't done since you were a kid. And it was a great event. We're looking forward to year 25 next year.
Yeah, I know. I was there in the morning, and I got there almost right at 10 when it started, and it was already hundreds of people already out there, and I was like, wow, people are really showing up for the Kite Festival.
Yeah, the event starts at 10, but people start rolling around 9:30, 9:45, and that's the same thing with Touch a Truck as well. So it's really great because not only do we have some great community partners and vendors, but it's really a great event for the community to enjoy.
Yeah, it's a good sign when people are showing up early. It means they want to be there. It means you're doing good things.
Exactly. So we had a great crowd, and we're looking forward to a full month of May with events, and looking forward to summer. And before we know it, it's probably going to be fall, Food Truck Thursday time again, and
Before you know it, we're gonna skip 5 months of the
oh
year.
my God. It's one of those things to where with what we do in Parks and Rec, and even with the county, it's like we're always looking 2-3 months ahead.
Yeah.
Right now, we're planning for our summer Rec Life brochure and already looking into some fall stuff. So but it's really great because we have so many different variety of events and activities, and Food Truck Thursday is becoming one of those go-to events for us to have in the spring and fall.
Yeah, and I actually remember one of our first podcast episodes when we were doing my challenges. I had never been to a Food Truck Thursday, and so that was one of my first challenges. But I'm going to mix it up a little bit this month, and you're going to have a challenge.
All right.
Because you have never hiked McAfee's Knob.
This is true. This is not the first time we've talked about this.
And I remember this because you are a Roanoke native, sir.
Yes.
This is like living in like Virginia Beach and never having gone to the ocean. Like. Okay. That's fair. That's fair. But also, I did go to Virginia Tech. And on the Hokie bucket list, one of the 72 items, I believe, on the Hokie bucket list is hike McAfee Knob. So I will be, checking that off my Hokie bucket list. Years after graduating.
A few years after graduation. So it'll be fun time. We're doing that here in a few weeks. And, we did Dragon's Tooth back in the fall. That was awesome. We saw a bald eagle.
You did, yeah.
Which was really,
the highlight of your fall.
I don't know about my fall, but that was the highlight of the day. And we got it on camera, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to going up to McAfee Knob. We'll take the Trailhead Shuttle up there. We'll get to see the new bridge across 311. So it's going to be really fun.
Okay, this has been very fun, but the temptation is too much. It's definitely lunchtime now.
Let's dig in.
If you like this episode, be sure to share it. And if you love food trucks, be sure to come out to the next Food Truck Thursday on May 8th at the Roanoke County Administration Building.